Hey there guys, what's up? It's Autobot Mikey 18 here, back with another one of my TV episode reviews. Guys, yes, I got another one up for you. I really thought I'd be busy on Sundays, and I just wouldn't be able to give you guys my normal, TV episode reviews for The Walking Dead. This Sunday, today, I came this close to not being able to watch the episode when it aired and not being able to review it in time. But I got very lucky and I, was able to. But anyway, guys, yeah, just had to point that out. And I'm pretty tired, guys. I had a long day. But I'm gonna try my best to power through this review. For the newest episode of The Walking Dead, guys. That's right, this is The Walking Dead. This is season 6, episode 5. The episode is titled Now. I just finished watching it, and now here I am to give you my thoughts on the episode. But before I do, guys, though, really quick update on my channel. I know my last video I posted was a channel, not a channel update, a random vlog. Quick update currently. I know my November Blu-ray update is late. I'm going to do my best to try to film that at some point this week and get it up at some point. I'm so sorry that is so late. We are already almost in midway November. I'm sorry about that. I saw Steve Jobs the other night. I had free time, luckily, and I saw it finally. I'll hopefully get a review up for that and get other videos and reviews up throughout the rest of the month. Anyway. With that said, let's get into tonight's episode of The Walking Dead. Now, I think I and a lot of other people were really looking forward to tonight's episode, deep down hoping that in at least some way we would finally get some answers about a certain character's fate. Spoilers, by the way, and not just spoilers for tonight's episode. If you have not seen any episode this season, I would not be watching this video. But tonight was the night I think we all wanted to just hope. We all hoped, at least, that they would finally give us or get us closer to finding out about what's going on with Glenn after everything that happened in episode 3. And that really wasn't the case. Anyway, let's go play by play. Let me go through this whole episode in a majority. And I'm going to say right off the bat, I wasn't all that a fan of the direction tonight's episode went in, and I think it's probably because of how many different I think that 9 times out of 10 when a show for one particular episode crams down so many storylines in one episode, it gets a little muddled and murky and just a little bloated, and I think that's what tonight's episode was. There were several scenes, or at least maybe one storyline, I would have cut out of this episode entirely, just to really trim the runtime down, or maybe add to another certain moment instead, because I don't know, it felt sort of unbalanced. There's one storyline that doesn't feel important for this moment at all, really, in my opinion, probably because the characters aren't too well developed. And there's another storyline that I felt honestly would have been stronger had we had another scene of it, really, and then we really just kind of don't. So let's get to it. The episode starts off, and I actually thought, proof that I am exhausted. I was on set all day today. I'm tired. So the episode starts off, and it's sort of the aftermath of what has happened to Alexandria. And I think there's really no other way for me to describe what happened in tonight's episode other than to go chronologically for the most part, because I don't want to jumble around and get you guys confused. But yes, it's basically the aftermath of the attack, the wolf attack on Alexandria. And it's really like the beginning of it, because we see Deanna getting, I'm sorry, guys, like reacting to everything. She is just like in mute mode this entire episode, just completely, just blankly staring, just completely shocked and horrified by everything that has transpired. And obviously she feels, as it is pointed out by her own son Spencer in this episode, that she is at fault. And I'll get into that later. But the episode really kicks in when we hear Rick's audible screams coming from the background. Rick is running back towards Alexandria. If we remember where we left him, Rick got stuck in the RV that was not working after a while. after he had killed the wolves, and it stopped working. So now I assumed that they would pick up back where Rick was in the RV, and they would show him maybe running back toward Alexandria, or, you know, trying to start the RV up or whatever. But they didn't. They really just cut to Rick running back to Alexandria, and that was immediately gripe number one I had with this episode. Not just this episode in general, but with the show in particular. I do not like, and I've said this a billion times, I do not like when the show shows a character in peril, cuts away from it, comes back to it either a few scenes later, whether it be a few scenes later or a whole episode or 2 episodes later, and we cut back and that character is just out of that situation scot-free. I really want to know how Rick got out of that situation in the RV, but they just cut to him running back, so we assume he just made it out of it just like that, no real problems or anything. There obviously would have been problems. There were a ton of walkers around that RV. That's just the minor thing I have. Nevertheless, I am so sorry, guys. I like the entire moment with Rick running back in Alexandria, and it's just like a race. They gotta keep the gate open, and Rick's gotta get in. And before that, we set the stage where Michonne is talking to Maggie and tells her about everything that went down with Glenn and how they split ways, and Glenn is still out there somehow, and they're waiting for his signal. And this obviously sends Maggie into, because this episode really focuses on Maggie and Aaron. There's a storyline with them. Jesse's character, I'll say, and then maybe Deanna, and then there's a few minor storylines sprinkled throughout that. Tara, I'm so sorry, guys. Tara and the new nurse with the glasses, as well as Jesse. Jesse's whole storyline. Well, I'm going to separate Jesse's storyline with another one. Jessie and her young son, Sam, I'm sorry. And then there's another minor storyline with Carl and Ron, Jesse's other son, or another scene, I should say. And then it's really just, that's this episode. And because once Rick gets back in Alexandria, he informs them all of what happened, how half of the walkers are still with Abraham, Sasha, and Daryl. They're leading them away as it was planned. The other half of the walkers, Rick brought back with him as he was being chased by them from where the RV was stuck, in the middle of the highway, or in the road. And Rick says that they're going to have to keep quiet. They're going to have to watch their movements. They're going to have to wait for Daryl, Abraham, and Sasha to get back, so that they can properly then use their cars that they're using to get this huge second half of walkers away from Alexandria. Because now you got hundreds and hundreds of walkers surrounding the outer walls of Alexandria, trying to get in, obviously, and there's really nothing they can do about it other than wait for Daryl and all them to get back with the cars. And so the whole town is obviously not all that thrilled about this. And I really like this one moment where Aaron steps in and is like, okay, guys, listen, this is my fault. I dropped the bag when it was just Daryl and myself. If you remember in the season 5 finale, Daryl and Aaron went on that solo mission, or were on that solo mission, and Aaron dropped the bag with all the photographs and like that wolf hangout with the trucks and everything. And the leader of the wolves saw the pictures of Alexandria and everything, and that's what led them there. So that is really is Aaron's fault. So, I really do like how he stepped up and he genuinely feels bad about all this and feels responsible. So I really sort of enjoyed that. And then again, as I said, the rest of the episode really is just like these different storylines. And I'm really just going to take a few seconds to sum up what happens in each one. And I'll start with the minor ones first, because in my opinion, they really don't matter. And I'll save the bigger ones, like the Jesse overall storyline and the Maggie and Aaron storyline for last, because they're a lot more important. But essentially, I'll start with the one storyline I felt did not need to even be in this episode, and it centers around Tara and that new nurse chick who has absolutely no idea what she's doing. Not only do some people are going to disagree with me on this. I was never a huge Tara fan when she joined in season 4. Ever since her attack on the prison, I mean, I was obviously not happy with her because she attacked the prison with the governor. But even after that, when she sort of merged with Rick's group, was never a fan of her. Okay, if she died in the latter half of season 5, when she was like severely injured or whatever, her character. I'm sorry. I would not have like wept tears. Like I would have been like, okay, Tara's dead. Oh well. No, it's not to be mean or anything. It's just like not one of the strongest characters on the show. And then, so then it's really this whole moment or their scenes. This new female nurse who really doesn't know what she's doing. She's trying to save a particular patient. Tara comes in to visit, sort of encourages her. She's reading through books, has no idea. Finally gets an idea, saves this guy somehow. No idea how. And then she goes to find Tara in the end of the episode and ends up just kissing her out of absolute nowhere. As soon as she leaned in and reached in and kissed Tara on the lips, I just like was like, whoa! You know, I kind of like said that out loud while I was watching with my family, and they like looked at me, and I was like, "Come on, guys! Like, did anyone actually see that coming?" So I'll give to The Walking Dead for surprising. And no, I wasn't surprised because 2 women made out on screen. That's not the reason why. The reason why is because that literally came out of nowhere, and I'm gonna hold that against the writers actually, because just why? Why did that nurse have to be a lesbian or that doctor? I'm not saying it's bad that she is, but I don't know. It was just really, it was kind of jarring because nobody just in a million years would have ever imagined. I don't know. That's how I felt about that. It's cool that Tara has someone new to start like a relationship with or whatever, but I don't know. I'm just not all buying that. I don't know. And I don't care for the nurse. So that was the storyline I feel didn't need to have that much of an emphasis at all. Maybe it just a scene of the nurse not knowing what to do. Tara talks her into it, and then she just gets an inspiration, and then boom, out of that whole moment with those 2 characters. I don't honestly think we need a Tara nurse relationship going on, but that's just me. Let me get into just like, for example, another storyline that really centered around Jesse's character, specifically Jesse's son, Sam. Ron is the older one. I'm sorry I keep yawning, guys. I genuinely apologize for this. I'm just really wiped. But I don't like how, like, I like Jesse's storyline and us getting into Jesse's head a bit more. I felt that was successful and I felt that was necessary. I like to see Jessie like in a position of power where she's standing up, sort of making a speech to like rile up the Alexandrians and get them like into the idea of this new world that they're exposed to. Because there's a ton of walkers surrounding Alexandria now. They're not used to it. They've never seen so many walkers in one place. And I like where her character sort of is in relation to those walkers and these people of Alexandria. I really liked that. I feel the entire scene where her young son Sam is upstairs and does not want to come downstairs and she's trying to like force him with cookies could have been cut entirely out of this episode. Was not needed in any way. We don't need development on Sam, in my opinion. If they really, really wanted it, they would have tried earlier on, and they did. Obviously, Sam was in the episode, or in last season a lot, you know, here or there. Carol like threatened him once. But you know, they just never went all out, so I was just like, why do I have to care about this guy? This moment, I'm sorry guys, I just wasn't really all that buying that, to be honest. Felt just could have been cut out. So let's talk about Deanna's storyline, because that is also very important. Deanna was in a funk like this entire episode. She's just like walking around mute. She's in a trance almost. She's really just horrified and shocked by everything that has happened, that Alexandria almost came down. The safe haven she has built up has literally almost come crashing down, and you know, there was really nothing that she could do about it, really. And she obviously, even though it's revealed by one of her sons, Spencer, her only son Spencer, who's left, she lost Reg in the end of last season, as well as her Aiden. She lost Aiden towards the end of last season as well, and she obviously feels bad and responsible that Alexandria has suffered the way it has because of her. And yeah, that's really where her character is emotionally in the episode. And then when we get to her and her, an interesting scene between her and her son Spencer, how he's sort of accusing her for everything, you can't help but nod your head in agreement with exactly what he's saying, because he's absolutely right. This is Deanna's fault. She pampered them. She gave them a real feeling of community. And now once this feeling has just died down, they are now screwed, because the threat of the walkers is coming into Alexandria. None of these people are prepared. Her son absolutely calls her off on that. And, she feels terrible about it, obviously. So that's really where Deanna's storyline goes. And then in the end of the episode, she kills a walker in fury. Well, not kills, I should say. She takes glass and is just stabbing his chest. And then Rick finally comes in and stabs the walker. So Deanna is a little unhinged. And I really like another moment that I better mention. I almost forgot. She tells Rick, yeah, this is my fault, okay? This is the reason why we're not prepared. It's me. I think you would do a better job of leading them. She essentially says that, I'm paraphrasing. And it's not up to me anymore. She essentially not appoints Rick to be leader, but it's like, I think you should just step in and take over here. And I really like where that's going to go. So that's really one of the only interesting things that's going on with Deanna's character at this point. I really want to see, is she going to really throw in the towel? Is someone else going to step up and take in charge? I don't know. So that's pretty interesting. With her character, and that's really everything that happened with her. And I do like this scene between her and her son Spencer, and how he was like drunk and just like accusing her of everything. He's absolutely right in a sense. She kept them that way, and that's why they're not savvy about the world. They don't know the ins and outs of this zombie world. They're all petrified when all the walkers are surrounding the walls. Anyway, moving on. Just to throw this in there before I forget. Even though this is kind of connected to the Jesse storyline, but what's his face? Her oldest son is Ron. Ron is having a moment earlier in the episode. Obviously, him and Carl are like on like different sides of the spectrum. They're at odds again with each other. So him and Carl meet up again in this episode after the aftermath, because Carl had saved his life from one of the wolves, and he really wants nothing to do with both Carl and Rick, even though that evolves throughout this episode, and it's mainly because of that. He doesn't, because Rick killed Pete. I'm sorry, Rick killed Pete, Ron's father. So him and Carl sort of go at it in this weird ass fight, and I love how it ended on the bird's eye shot of just Ron defeated, just lying on the ground like this. I burst out laughing, and my family looked at me. They were like, "What the hell is wrong with you, man? Why are you laughing at that?" And I'm like, "Just look at this shot. Look at the bird's eye choice. It's so unintentionally funny. It worked for me." But yeah, so he approaches Rick. Ron approaches Rick later on in the episode, and is like, "Look, I'm gonna." Carl went out, because the argument they have in this episode centers around how Enid escaped and went out outside the walls as she normally does, and Carl wanted to go after her, and Ron was like, "No, man, you gotta stay back." So he tells Rick all this, and Rick obviously wants to go back and check on Carl, but Rick is in the middle of keeping watch, hoping that he sees either a signal from Glenn or a sign of one of the returning cars of Daryl or Abraham and Sasha. So I really like the moment where he offers to sort of take watch for Rick and tells Rick what Carl was planning to do with Enid going after her. But I feel that we needed more of that moment between Carl and Rick. Rick and Ron. I really would have liked to see more, honestly. I felt it was really just thrown in there, and we don't come back to it. We don't see, it just cuts from Ron holding Rick's gun and pointing at the zombies, staring down at them below, and then we just cut back, and then that's really it. I don't know, I felt like we needed more of that moment. Now, maybe we could have seen more of that instead of the Jesse nurse lesbian love story. I don't know. Let's power through these last 2 stories, guys. I'm getting wiped out. Now, the other big storyline of the night was Jesse's whole thing and how she's really getting adjusted. And I feel that Jesse's character, who is very attractive, by the way, the actress is Alexandria Breckenridge. I really like where Jesse's character is going this season of all the other Alexandrians. She's stepping in the right direction. I think it really started off with her murdering that zombie in protection of her 2 children who were in the house during the wolf attack. Or not murdering the zombie, murdering the wolf. But now she sort of stepped up in sort of like an encouraging sort of role for Alexandria, telling everyone, like, look, this is what life is like now, just deal with it, because these people aren't used to it. So they're like scared, they're like zombies like themselves. They're just walking around, they're quiet, they just can't accept the fact of what has been going on. They can't accept the fact there's a billion walkers outside the walls and they want flesh. And Jesse's really just standing up and showing them, like, this is what the world is like. You guys got to get used to this shit. And, you know, I really like that about her character, I think. I think that's really interesting. And I like how she sort of takes charge and makes that whole, like, speech to the Alexandrians in this episode. She kills a walker who was a neighbor of hers, apparently, and unexpectedly was obviously turned into a walker. I guess must have gotten bit somehow or something, or died. Maybe one of the wolves killed the girl in the house. But anyway, so yeah, I really, again, I like this Jessie role. I still feel the whole scene with her and her younger son Sam trying to get him to come downstairs and eat the cookies, I felt that could have been taken out entirely. Overall, I feel that, yeah, again, I was really liking where her storyline was going. And then we cut to the final scene between her and Rick. And Rick comes in because earlier in the episode he had told her not to bury the bodies of the wolves. Because he's like, we don't bury killers, not inside these walls. And he sort of told her about that. And then he comes back to her the night of the events in the episode and helps her, like, pack up and everything. Or no, I'm sorry. He comes into the garage, and it's late at night, and she's just like doing laundry or whatever, and and she his presence or his entering doesn't catch her off guard. But they sort of talk about the day, and he really tells her, like, look, I heard your speech. I heard that speech you gave about Alexandria, or to the Alexandrians. I heard you were, like, riling them up. And I guess that sort of, like, made Rick feel really good about her, in a sense. And I guess in that moment, just hearing that sort of reassurance from Rick, like, I like how you did that. I like how you're standing above everyone else and you have a level head about all this. I really liked how he sort of, was drawn to her because of that speech. That sort of made him feel like, look, like, this is great. Like, this is a woman that, is going to step up in this moment where everyone else in this community is just like, oh God, what do we want to do? What do we do now? Like, wait, let's just raid the pantry and just start eating. Let's not ration. Screw it. And she stepped up, and Rick and her end up kissing. Very steamy kiss. Goes all out for the most part. The both of them were getting really into it, actually. So that was pretty interesting, and their storyline ends there. So obviously Rick and Jesse are going to form some sort of relationship. I'm really interested to see where that's going to go. I think we all knew that was going to happen, them kissing. I think, yeah, I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't know when. It happened a lot sooner than I thought. But I knew it was going to happen. I think we all did. And then finally, let's get to the big storyline. Glenn, alive or dead? We don't know because they don't go outside the walls. Yeah, so Maggie's been told everything, that Glenn is possibly dead. Like, they left him alone with Nicholas, yeah, and the others. They're on their own. Nobody knows within the walls of Alexandria if Glenn is alive or dead. Maggie is just, she's silent, she's somber, she can't say a word. She's obviously angry that Glenn is out there, trying to hide it. She's got a variety of different emotions. and she decides to go out and go after Glenn. And after Aaron had made that speech saying, "Oh, it was my fault that the Alexandrians were led, that the wolves were led into Alexandria. I dropped the bag, blah blah blah." I like how Aaron really understands that Maggie is upset and feels really genuinely bad, and he's like, "You know what? Let me help you. Most of this is my fault. I'm gonna lead you out of here and into outside of Alexandria and towards where Glenn was, and we're gonna go find him." So they decide to do just that. Maggie reluctantly allows Aaron to come with her, and they decide to go through a sewer system that's right underneath Alexandria that could sort of, because all the walkers are surrounding the walls, they can't just walk right out the door of Alexandria and then boom, they're gonna get eaten. So they have to go under the sewer system or in the sewers, and they'll get to an entrance, an exit on the other side, and go out that way and up. So they just go down a sewer, straight through it, and then they go up and out of it. That's the way to get up above surface, out of Alexandria, essentially. And as they do that, they're going through the sewers, and Maggie really doesn't want Aaron to have to be there and to have to, get involved or anything like that. She just wants to go on the solo mission just to find Glenn. They get attacked by 2 walkers in the sewers, 2 really rotting sewer walkers. And moving on, going through it, they come to the exit of the sewer, or the other side of the sewer, and they're ready to get out of it and go above surface. And Maggie stops Aaron from going forward and realizes, "Listen, I can't go any further." And there's a specific reason why she's sort of holding back at this point. One, there's more walkers than they both anticipated in the area, and they'd have to run through them. Maggie would be risking her life, and she doesn't want to risk her life for a specific reason. She is upset that Glenn is still out there. She admits, "I want to see his face again. I don't want Glenn to be dead." Obviously, I'm paraphrasing. But specifically, she makes a wise decision to not go out there, and it's because she is pregnant. She reveals she is pregnant. She is pregnant with Glenn's baby, and she does not want to go out there and obviously risk her life, because this baby that she is carrying, honestly, and she doesn't want to believe it right at this moment, may be the last reminder of Glenn. That might be it. And so her and Aaron sort of have this moment. Walkers are surrounding the sewer, and they decide not to go out. And it's a really touching moment. As soon as Maggie said that, I was like, she's pregnant. But then I said, oh, she's pregnant. If Glenn does wind up dead. And again, I didn't explain this thoroughly in my review of episode 3, but Glenn did not die in that scene, by the way, guys. In where it looks like he's getting eaten, he's not getting eaten. That was Nicholas. However, is Glenn going to die after that? Yeah, I think he is. I don't think he's going to make it out of that in general. But in what we saw, Glenn was not dead. But I do think he's going to die off screen, and then someone's going to find his body or something, or they're going to see him as a walker. I don't know. But I really liked that moment. But at the same time, I felt sad. I was like, God, Maggie, she's going to have a baby. Glenn may or may not be there. Anyway, so her and Aaron come back to Alexandria. It's night. They're on guard duty. Maggie decides to leave the wall and go to the wall where all the where some of the Alexandrians had gathered, and started writing the names of everybody that had died. And the last 2 names that were written were Glenn and Nicholas. Nicholas first, then Glenn. Maggie goes to the names and takes a rag, wets it, and starts washing Glenn's name off, still with hope that he's still out there alive. And Aaron takes another rag, meets up with her, and washes Nicholas's name off. Obviously, we know Nicholas is dead, as long as that wasn't a mirage or a hallucination or whatever. But they don't. Alexandrians don't. So, guys, there you have it. That was tonight's episode. I know it was a lot. It was very jumbled. This video review is so long because so much happened in tonight's episode. I do not think it. You see here, last week's episode was solid. It was slow paced, as was tonight's was, but they were paced differently. That one was a lot more exciting and had a lot more character build up. This one was a lot more jumbled, had so many more stories, and while some of them were entertaining, some scenes could have been cut, and they weren't. They were in the final product. I overall had excitement to find out about Glenn, and I should have realized they were going to save it towards episode 8. They'll make us find out in the mid-season finale for sure, which is fine. I'll wait 2 more episodes. There's only 3 more episodes of the whole season. But I don't know. I liked this episode. I didn't love it. I'm going to give it a solid grade of an 8.5 out of 10, or grade of a B. I think it is not as strong as the last 3 episodes we've had, but it is a solid episode overall. There's great moments. There's a great surprise with the Maggie pregnancy, Rick kissing Jesse so soon, the Tara and Nurse thing, which again could have been cut out of this episode, but it was very surprising. And then, yeah, that's really it with tonight's episode. Guys, there you have it. Those are my thoughts on tonight's episode of The Walking Dead, episode now. Leave me your thoughts down below, guys. What do you predict is going to happen next week? Next week, we're going to take a look at Daryl, Abraham, and Sasha, and take a break from Alexandria, so we're going to see what's going to happen with that. I'm excited to see where that's going to go. What's up with Glenn? Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.